All right, let's talk about Calvinism again. Now, I made mention of this in a video before, but I totally understand that using tulip is highly reductionistic. Here's the deal, though. Arminian theology and their 5 points that we talk about here are basically a response to Reformed theology. Reformed theology puts out kind of this is what we believe, this is how we operate, whatever, um, and Arminius and his followers say, well, this is our response to Reformed theology. Here's some things that we don't agree with. Here's some things we would correct. And so they come out with their 5 things. Uh, Reformed theologians from all over meet at the Synod of Dort, and they come up with their 5 canons of Dort, which eventually become the tulip acrostic, which is even more reductionistic than the canons of Dort. But what ends up happening is that this becomes then the battleground. The battleground is over Arminius' response to Reformed theology, and then what becomes the Calvinist response to the Arminian response. And this is where the fight is over, and this is where the battleground is taking place in between these two ideas of systematic theology. And so on the one hand, I understand it completely, it is reductionistic. On the other hand, this is where the disagreements are. So this is what we need to talk about. And so I'm reducing these points down to the disagreements, not to the whole of Reformed theology or even Arminian theology. So I feel like I need to say that before we move into the next thing, because what you're going to see in Arminian theology is you're going to see point counterpoints to Reformed theology. And sometimes they're going to agree on things. Sometimes they're going to disagree pretty wholesale, heartily disagree with it. For example, total depravity. Total depravity in the Arminian view versus the Calvinistic view is a very nuanced thing. It's not a complete departure. An Arminian would say, yes, we're depraved, but we have the ability to choose because of the Imago Dei, because of our free will. We have the ability to choose when presented with the gospel. What it seems like in Reformed theology is we have no ability, we have inability, complete inability to choose at all. So there's a very nuanced. Both of us would say sin completely distorts and destroys the image, or distorts the image of God in us, and we would both say that our sin nature fully separates us from God. It's in the nuance of what our will is able to do and what it isn't able to do that where we would disagree.